So yeah, today's intro question is: how often do you like to experience change or enjoy going out of your comfort zone? Like, um, really, I love change. I love change because, like, I am super positive, and I always think that even though that we can see some shadows in change, there are always like a lot of light to see in change. And I am always super intrigued to see the lights and the different lights that we can have from change. And like, I always, when I go to restaurants, I always order different food. And sometimes I have to admit, I have received like food that I didn't like, and sometimes like I order like a really for me just like the experience of like trying something new, and like yeah, and like expanding, and that in the sense of like food, but also like um I won't say that I have had like a lot of personal relationships in my life, but like when I needed to change from like being in a relationship to being alone or something, I I I know that it's like a hard moment, and like that change is like an earthquake where you feel like your ground is moving. But I also felt every moment that I was like living great things, and that I was going to learn from all those new feelings and new like experiences that I was having. So yeah, for me, I love change, and I also want to see a lot of change in my society, in the like yeah in the world. So for me, and yeah, change is also very related somehow to conflict, because every time you change, every time you grow, every time like your bones hurt. And I don't know, I think that somehow that's why I also love studying conflict, because like it's the relationship that we have with change, with otherness, and like yeah, going out of our comfort zone, talking about some sensitive issues. For me, it's like super exciting. So yeah, that's my take. I would pass to Durgadas. This is the question?
So the question is, how do we relate to change, or do we like it?
Yes. How often do you like to experience change or enjoy going out of your comfort zone?
Um, I have a kind of specific relationship to change. I think really big changes are easy for me. Um, I'll just pick up my whole life and leave for no reason. I've reinvented myself so many times now. Um, I'm just kind of used to it. Um, I didn't actually know how to relate to like a single place. So like I've lived here for 12 years, by far the longest time I've ever lived anywhere. And so big sort of catastrophic changes, moving, changing jobs, all this stuff is relatively easy for me because I've had to do it so much. It's a weird thing to say, but small changes irritate me a lot more. So so minor changes in the environment, or people who are not polite about setting expectations, or aren't proactive about letting me what their needs are. What is it that they're going to do, if they're going to make noise, things like this. So my sort of personal bubble is maybe a little more fragile. But then again, I'll be happy to just make big changes, fairly quickly. So I'll pass it to Nate.
Can I pass it to Lauren real quick and I'll come back to me? I'm so sorry. Give me one moment.
I don't know. This is a hard question because I don't know. I just don't know how to answer it because there's so many different kinds of change. I kind of like can relate a little bit to Durga saying that he is more resistant to the smaller changes than the bigger changes. Um, hmm. Like I have a lot to say, but it's like almost like too much. I don't even know where to begin. Okay, let me just think quick. How I I like adapting to things. I like to come into a new place and just sort of like feel it out and then I sort of get my grounding. I think I'm like really adaptable. I can live in all kinds of different circumstances, and I really like to experience change in that way, especially when it comes to like different cultures or countries or languages or foods and like all these things which are like cool, fun, spice of life things. I like to have that change so that I can kind of like then find my grounding within it. But yeah, I think my level of comfort with change also comes from my ability to find that grounding. So maybe it's like having just a space that's like a comfortable bed, sleeping area, and a place to do yoga. And if I can have that sort of like foundation or this like rooting where I can kind of like go out, learn new things, try stuff, go wild, and like follow around, then still like come to a place where like everything is like, you know, my bed is organized and my yoga mat's right there, then I'm really good. So I think my ability to relate to changes has a lot to do with my ability to remain grounded, and then otherwise I really much like for it. And I guess I'll pass it back to Nate if you're ready.
Yeah, I am. Sorry about that. Thank you. Um, I I grew up in an environment that was so resistant to change that it permeated through my entire life, and so I'm a very habitual person. I do the same things over and over and over and over again. And then, I got out of that environment. Then I moved out here to California, and that all of a sudden changed because I was forced to adapt to this different change. And then I became addicted to change. And it's amazing how your environment has such an impact on the way you react to change and what happens. And so when I got out here, I just started exploring everything. I just, I've worked in so many different types of fields and different jobs, and I've loved every single one of them. And I think it's a huge benefit to have that type of support around you that allows you to adapt to change. And it's one of those things where if you don't have that type of support, it's very hard to, adjust accordingly. And because, a lot of people they get rooted and they get into that manner where they do things over and over again, and change happens to them like it always does, and they cannot function, and it's not great to watch. So um, adapt to change, keep changing, push for change all the time. And I'll pass the Suga.
Oh, change. Yeah, I want to say also that I love change. I appreciate it, but I'm trying to look for something a bit more what's the word, challenging to say about it. You know, what about change like when your alarm doesn't go off and you're late for your appointment? And that's a kind of change, and it's probably a disagreeable kind of change. So, but maybe that's boring. I think there's a lot of change. Sorry, somebody. Can you hang on a second? Yes. Okay. I'll pass. I'll pass. I'll pass to Lydia.
Was that me? Yeah, I think differently than Nate, my upbringing was like not habitual at all. I changed houses so many times and schools so many times, and my mom never managed to have like a really stable routine, and I think I think change was a very constant in my life. And then after, I don't know, I started like 4 universities, and I moved a lot in my whole life and traveled a lot. So I think there is. I've been thinking a lot about this lately because now I have a house and it feels so good to have like habitual things in the house and to have some type of a routine, like in all our calls too, for example. And I think change kind of follows curiosity. Like, I wouldn't change if I'm not curious about something or if I'm not being dragged towards a direction that awakens me somehow. So I think, yeah. And I think there are many ways to shape the curiosity and to see where change is going to happen too, to not be so disruptive or understanding when it needs to be disruptive. But I also resonate with what Lauren says, that I think we're like super adaptable beings, and I appreciate this quality a lot. And I'll pass to Griff.
Yeah, I think the relationship to change, I think, depends on how it's instigated. If change is instigated by yourself, of course you love it, right? If change is instigated by the environment, like, and it's like, oh, there was an earthquake, it's like, oh, you deal with it, and maybe it sucks, maybe it's great. I mean, and usually I have this opinion, and maybe it's like this optimism like problem, but like the worst things that happened to me, the biggest changes that I disagreed with at the time, end up always being the best things that ever happened to me, right? Like it's constant. And that I think this comes to just a understanding that where you are right now is so magical, right? So then all those big things those changes were clearly so important. Otherwise, you'd never be where you are. I think the hardest types of changes that are to deal with are changes that are generally from other people, right? It's like, what? Why are you imposing this change on me, right? Like, someone changes the laws, and you built a business around a certain, organizational structure and expectation of an environment that you're within, and then all of a sudden there's a regulation that just like takes your business away, or a regulation that changes the way the other businesses can interact, and you already have cemented a certain like business model or something like that, and then you're like, what the hell, government? Why are you doing this to me? And so I think it really depends on like change is too broad to really express feelings unless that change is within a context. But obviously, I've been nomadic for 9 years. Change is cool. Septi, did you go?
No, thank you, Griff. Yeah, I also grown up place also where change was constant. Like when I was a kid, especially my father was always on the same place working, right? But we were traveling, like now we're here, now we're there, and we were changing school and houses a lot. And I also agree with what Griff was saying, like the change, it depends on how it comes. Like if you decided, like for example myself, I never stay longer than 2 years on a job. So yeah, I really, like I personally like to change, but yeah, it's my decision, so that's great. And the thing, like I know, like the biggest change that was not taken, decided by me, was when my parents leave to another country, and I wanted to stay because I was playing video games and I really needed to stay in Europe. And then yeah, I kept doing it, and it was tough, but yeah, it was awesome. And yeah, back to you, Juan.
Thanks, everyone. Yeah, that was super opening, and I really appreciate everyone's points of view. And yeah, also I want to click on what Septimus and Griff said about where is that where is the motivation for change? Like, if it's someone who is telling you to do something, or if it's you. And that's why we talk so much about like inner motivation, and like what do each of us like want and motivates us to do things, and to feel that what we are doing is like the best fit for us. And also like yeah, I was also thinking like on the scale of change, because yeah, I mean, for me it's super easy maybe to change like a restaurant or the dish that I order, but like for me instead it has been like more difficult to change from the city I was born from. So yeah, so I relate to what all of you have said, and sometimes and I want to have like these two variables, that is like the scale of the change, and also like from where is the motivation to change. So I think those are two variables that the same way that that yeah, that we analyze everything, we can keep continue analyzing in that the scale of change and motivation of change of motivation of it. It can be like two ways to keep understanding and taking into account for the changes that we may have in our life and in our collective. So now we are going to talk about integrating polarities, and is that we had in the first moment like an original whole, and then it came a fragmentation of two different points of view, and it seems like there is like this gap, but the idea of integrating polarities is that we can like reintegrate the whole and make it even better. So my idea about was having like this exercise of mapping each party's interest, and what I was thinking was to like have only positive aspects to each polarity, like part A of defending things as they are, and part B of it's like possibility and of change. And I want to like all of you, if you can jump into this document, or if you want I can write them and you like tell me and I type them. But yeah, the idea is to write good things of both of the possibilities in the columns, and try to find common ground of mutual interest, and what would be the best outcomes for all. So yeah, my idea is to describe and also to have like this understanding of the good points of all of them, so that also we can have like even more information and understanding, and and defend our inner motivations in regarding the possibility of a change that affect us all. So yeah, that's like my proposition. What do you think about it? Do you like it? Okay, so please jump is this document is the notes. It's in Gravity, and yeah, let's write like the good things that that we think from each point of view. And it would be good if maybe you stay from a point and you see a good thing from the other point. You can also write it.
Sorry, Juan. I think I need to. Can you give further clarity on this exercise?
Yeah, the idea is to write only the good things of each idea, and maybe then we can contrast and like say, okay, we have like a lot of good things from both ideas, or no, we have like more good things to one idea, and that way we can also like yeah, make our own clarity of what could be also like the common ground where we can build mutual interest, and where are also the points where people feel like more divided.
Are we staying general, or are we staying doing a specific issue?
I think that it's better if we put it like related to what is happening around the impact hour distribution. I think that that could be like the center, but it's not also to go like super technical, but like to compare the ideas.
Sorry to interrupt. Hi, friends. I have to sign off early tonight due to some little people obligations. But thank you. Talk to you soon. Bye.
See you, Katie.
Thanks, Uga.
Thank you.
Maybe it is good to clarify what is about the issue that we are looking into, because maybe that's not clear. Because if the issue with impact hours is to analyze data, then it's just one aspect, and it feels like maybe there are other aspects that are being brought up.
Sorry, I like um can you like rephrase, because like I didn't like get it.
Yeah, I think there are a few assumptions that are like in the that that people were dealing with, that like maybe we all started to create assumptions about what this process is going to bring. So there is a reaction to the assumption of what could emerge instead of what it actually is. That, like, in a first instance, is just the analysis of the data, and this itself doesn't propose any change. It just creates information, and then the second step after the analysis would be shaping proposals based on that information, and that's where the change could possibly come.
Yeah, that's why I framed it like possibility of change, because it's only a possibility. We don't have, and here like there is no imposition, because like we have said it several times that as we have like this voting culture, we are going to vote if there's going to be a change and if not. But right now we're just like getting information. But let's read them, and maybe if after reading them we think that one of them should be deleted or like republished, I think we can do it. So let's pick someone randomly to talk or to read what we have in the chart. Um, Nate, would you be glad if you read things as they are?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so we have familiarity, trust, comfort. People already accustomed to a certain behavior. Maintaining credibility, doing what you say. Managing expectations. People made payment decisions based on impact hours, working a certain way. Consistency of process. The system is very anti-fragile and can be changed from within. We are following a process we all agree to participate in. Cultural norms need to be respected, like tokens given are tokens held, can't change that. Great feelings that we have with the work done. Impact hour looks more valuable now than 6 months ago.
Great.
Go ahead.
What do you think about these good things? What are your reflections about the good aspects of the things as they are? I can highlight here what is very anti-fragile and can be changed from within. So yeah, and I also want to highlight the first one, that I can relate it to some of the other ones, like familiarity, trust, comfort. People already it's also very related to like following a process we all agree. So maybe we can like have um, one big point understood as se me fue la palabra. Yeah, so one big point and can be like stability and like somehow some comfort that we already have built around the agreements that we have made, and some comfort that we feel coming from the great feelings that we have from the work done, and also managing expectations. I think that all comes like in a great range of like stability, security, and like yeah, I think that comes from the sense of stability, and I think that can be like one big idea that we can take from this part A. And Nate, I know Nate already read the part
Can I
A.
make a comment before we move to the next one?
Yes.
I think people made payment decisions based on impact hours working in a certain way is very dangerous. Like I I think if this is an assumption, we should definitely clarify this, because we don't making payment decisions based on a token that doesn't exist yet. I think it's something that everybody worked on to make that really clear, that I mean, we cannot make promises based on this token that isn't launched yet and on the value of this token. And also, yeah, I think the dashboard was the first time that these numbers were presented. So if there was expectations with like presented in terms of like financial value, yeah, I think just if there is this expectation that we should talk about it.
Yeah, so I can expand on that. It's not about the value of the token or whatever, but it was expecting, several people made decisions about whether or not they want to collect salary based off the impact hour system. They know that the impact hours could be worth 0. They all knew that. But they didn't think that there could be a proposal or some kind of that would ever be within scope to take those hours away. And that's I think this is a very important scope system where it's like, well, if we just say no, actually impact hours earned are impact hours earned, but yeah, we might as a community decide to dilute them. That's a lot easier to handle. Then actually Tam made an interesting analysis or a thing of like, well, if you frame it like we're going to take away people's hours, then it's like the NRA, like they're going to take our guns, can't take our guns, And it's like, yeah, and this is just like human, things. And if we kind of make the scope of the inquiry, within the bounds of, oh yeah, impact, and we just say impact hours earned or impact hours earned. However, we're going to make sure that people who are under rewarded get what they need. Like, it's understood that the value of an impact hour will go down if we make more, but it feels a lot different. And that feeling, that those like behavioral economics are really important to incorporate into any kind of token engineering practice and any kind of scope of inquiry, honestly, for our cultural build.
Yeah, but I think this is one of the assumptions that I was talking about. Like, for example, in this first stage that the data is being analyzed, it's almost as if this was already is as if you're already talking about a proposal that doesn't exist yet. So I think like now we are in this phase that things are just being analyzed. There is nothing concrete that is coming from this analysis, and the way people can think about many different scenarios of what this could happen should in this moment be considered just assumptions, because they are not proposed and formalized in our process yet. And I think for the benefit of the cultural build, is really important that we focus on the process that we have, and don't speak about like things that are not in the process when they are not there yet. So I just wanted to make that distinction of like waiting for the moment when things are formalized to debate the character of those proposals.
Well, no, totally. But I think it's worth also appreciating like scope. And, before, instead of leaving it completely wide open, creating some boundaries is really important. And if we can just say there are these certain boundaries that would make everyone, that would not allow people to jump to conclusions around these. And so creating boundaries, I mean, like if you get caught stealing some bread, the death penalty is not on the table, like, I mean, because there's certain boundaries that, that are within the scope of the inquiry, and you don't have to, oh, he got caught stealing bread. Parents don't have to worry that he's going to be set to the death penalty. They can just be like, oh, idiot, uh,
I definitely agree we should have boundaries, but I don't agree we should have boundaries for the inquiry. I think the process has boundaries, that like the decision making process has boundaries. We do like heavily follow advice process when it comes to something like this, hence us having this call now and discussing these things. I feel like for like, I don't know, the benefit of a DAO environment that we're all gonna jump to very soon, like the more we have open inquiry and kind of like a laser focus on like what is that is being inquired, what are these questions that are coming up, and do some type of analysis like this, like one is bringing, but maybe one a little bit more complex, that we bring all of these questions into the table and look into the pros and cons to each one of these things that are being brought up in a dialectic way. And then from there like there is a contextual process until we get to the proposal, and then there we have the decision making, and we have like, we can have the sessions to debate like we're doing for the params, and then in the end of the day we have to respect that decision. But like the process to get there, I think it's important to be like non to be open somehow.
I think to take a decision like this, we should delay the hatch. Like, honestly think like in 2 weeks we can take a decision like this, because there is a lot to discuss. And I really agree with what Griff was saying. Like, and I mean, in the past, I remember a guy who was getting paid in Bitcoin, and like he was getting paid late, and the other guy was telling, "Oh, I give you the euros for your time," and that's breaking the rule between those two guys, and these two guys never work together again. I'm not saying like nothing crazy, but what I'm saying is like, we had an agreement and we should follow it. Like, what is in the past is in the past. If we do that analysis to improve the system, that's amazing. We're gonna improve, and we embrace the improve, and we play with the new rules. But we cannot change what's in the past. And on my point of view, like, I told that to Griff many times. Like when I was doing Prime Squad, like getting away all these impact hours, I really think that was not a good thing. But it was in the rules, and we all agreed to play these rules. So I don't know, like breaking them. For me, it looks like like if this was on the blockchain, could it be possible? Maybe by Dandelion voting, I don't fully understand. But honestly, like, even talk about this, like, if we're in an economy and this post is made, and I think it was a bit reckless because of the moment, like the token price would drop like a lot.
Yeah, I mean, this has happened before. I was very much part of it. The DAO, we took tokens away from the Ethereum community, took tokens away from the hacker, and it caused a hard fork. I also deal with payments, and I deal with payments in the TEC, and I deal with payments in many other communities for many years. And when you make an agreement, you stick with it. Otherwise, managing expectations around payments are just so sensitive. And this is a payment. It's impact hours. Straight up a payment. And there's certain sensitivities around payments. And like, if I agree to pay someone the value of Ether April, I mean, then that's what it is. But when those agreements are unclear, that's when actually a lot of problems arise. I mean, I actually feel really bad for Lauren recently, because I paid her an Ether for some Giveth work, and then Ether crashed.
No, but yeah,
But if the agreement is to be paid in Ether, then the agreement's to be paid in ether. And, you know,
Okay, you know what motivated me to do this? There is a part in the Ostrom's book where she's talking about the problems that they were having between the basins and the water institutions, and they said like they reunited and they made like an exercise like this, and they had like pros and cons of each idea, and from that they like started commenting. So I think that it would be really good if the people who is like making the data analysis can also read this, because like we cannot make the data analysis like cold hearted. We have to understand the feelings of the people, and that's why I think that it's really important to respect the sensitivities of all people, and to know to not like to make like everyone to have like clear expectations. And maybe it can be good if we can give this document also and place this document in the data analysis, so that we not only like analyze numbers, but we can also analyze feelings around them. And yeah, but for me, like, it's super great that we have this, and that we have this possibility, and that we have so many eyes also right now, like seeing what we are doing. And so yeah, for me, just having this conversation is very rich, and I think like from all of this we can have like an input for this for continuing this process. Do you remember the part of the book where she said like, yeah, they made and they united, and they like, yeah, they made something like this, all with like all the parallels and differences, because like I am the one doing it, and yeah.
Yeah, there's
And
a whole chapter she talks about changing policies in the institution design, and how this is one of the most challenging process, especially because of our resistance to change, and how sometimes the cost of changing the rules was so expensive because of like what generates, even if the change was beneficial for the system. The resistance of the people caused that to be more expensive. So all I wanted to, like, I'll close and I'll stop talking. All I wanted to say is that I I haven't I am not giving my position to any decision. Like, what I'm asking to be considered is for us to not think about proposals before they are made, and for us to have a strict relationship to information, and the way we're going to process this information. Like, the people that are looking into the data that don't need to be careful, because they don't know what to be careful with. They're just going to be processing information. Who has to be careful is us, and the way we look into it, and as a community we can like very carefully look into the information in a way that what is going to benefit all of us, what is going to benefit our vision, our mission, with done with our values, and how we can think about the transformation of the system. I'm not like pro any stance. I'm not taking any stance now, just like pure looking into information.
I just want to make reiterate what Septimus said about like we are that sounds like a good argument, right? Sounds fair. Let's just be open to ideas. But I think it disregards the cultural norms that we live within, because if you could imagine any cryptocurrency saying, hey guys, we're gonna do some really big analysis on the token distribution that we have right now, and we're not sure what's going to happen. No boundaries, no expectations. And as Optimus said, people would sell. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. It's creating FUD in our community, and that should be appreciated. Because this is where we are. This is who we are. This is not an academic group that's just looking at like environmental points, or something like this, a benign thing. We are people in the crypto space. We have certain expectations of how things are done. And if Vitalik said, hey, the ether distribution looks a little weird, we're just going to study it and we'll see what happens, wow. That would be really bad.
Well, but also, like regarding to Ostrom, she says like sometimes like a change is more difficult in a certain time than in other time. So also like we are having this discussion pre-hatch, because after the hatch it would be like out of anyone's minds, and it wouldn't be even like, yeah, it would be so like external, and 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 I think that's why this dialogue has been like had and like with such a short time, because like when we felt the hatch was closed, and we had like all this information, yeah, maybe people said like, okay, better do this than later. Better do this now than later, or maybe as yeah, that that the idea is that we can have a lot of legitimacy from the people within and also from the people outside, and maybe the same point that we have, that the impact hours were really fair as they were right now, could also like a counter argument for other people that say, no, I don't think those are fair, and starting by saying that fair is something subjective. So yeah, it's just to stand the 2 points in the same balance, and like not like saying one whole truth. I am just trying to like balance the two ideas. But I would really like to read the part B, and I
Can I
don't know
say
who
one?
wants to go.
I want to say one thing, Juan, because you were saying like because it's pre-hatch, it's like it can be done, and I actually think it's even worse because pre-hatch doing a conflict like this may lead to rage quitters, and it would, like people putting money in that doesn't know about this, they would be very disappointed if people is rage quitting and their money is slowly disappearing. And then imagine the scenario where some important team leaves, I don't know, imagine Legals leaves, and let's just say legal because not legal, another working group, Softgov leaves, and I don't know, and then this, like imagine like there is a lot of work to do from Softgov, but if Softgov is leaving, this work is not going to be done, and it's very sensitive.
Yeah, but on the same point, like also the people who is not feeling well with what we have now can also like rage quit, and you can say, okay, maybe they are not
Well,
so.
they can rage quit
Yeah.
if they don't have impact hours, right?
I mean, if they feel that they don't like the economy that we're launching, because yeah, we're launching an economy and everyone should feel great about it, and just with having some people feeling that the economy is not fair or is not good, is just good to be able to yeah to be open to see what can happen, because as Livy said, we don't have like a clear answer to it now. We just have like the disposition to like open that Pandora box and see what can come out of it. I remember speaking of it in that way, and also we could have had the Pandora box like closed, but we wouldn't know what was inside, and if we don't open the box. So yeah, I think it's super exciting to be
Can
having
I, can I show you something that I think will be helpful in this instance?
Yes, and then we read part B. But I am super happy about this discussion. I also would have loved if more people had joined, but I think that we have gathered a lot of great information that we can also show to the people who is analyzing the data.
Can everybody see this?
Yes.
So there are basically these 4 different ways to deal with disorder, right? And so there's the clear, which we're talking about a little bit, the known and the familiar. There's the complicated, which is knowable, but tends to be unfamiliar because it's complicated. And then there's the complex, which is, kind of unknown because it's out on the edge of what we understand. And then there's this sort of chaotic, unknowable thing. And you might see that there's kind of a three-dimensional nature to this, right? So the thing about the rage quitting and that sort of thing is that if we aren't if there are certain people in the community which are thinking about things in simplistic terms, this clear sort of thing, and then we make things too chaotic, we're going to push them off of this cliff. You can see the little things falling off. And what that's going to basically do is create this kind of situation that Zeptimus is talking about, and the rage quitting and whatnot. But the fact is that we're still dealing with the disorder, and we're trying to put things in certain bins like this. And I think it's important when we're taking a look at stuff to understand what aspects of what it is that we're doing are actually clear and known and familiar, and what is knowable and yet somehow unfamiliar, versus the complex and the unknowable. And because that middle part there is the disorder itself, which if you're just in the middle of all of that, you're going to be very confused. This is a way of kind of sense making around some of these things. So I think it would be a really good idea with respect to how we deal with some of these questions that we take in identification about what precisely it is that we're doing, as far as, and each one of these things has a different action mode associated with it, right? So anyway, this is just something I wanted to bring up as something that might help us to take decisions in a way that would make sense. Because if we could tell which one of these 4 things it is that we're dealing with at the time, or maybe there's some aspect of it which is clear, some aspect of it which is complicated, some aspect of it which is complex, and some aspect of it which is chaotic, we can then avoid pushing people over this cliff between the chaotic and the clear. And that's what's going to result in the rage quitting and things. And I don't see that we actually are necessarily really strict about sense making in a way like this, where we can understand how the things that will lead to that. So I just wanted to sort of present that to you. And Juan, I can send you these graphics later if you want. I need to go back to that, but just maybe put that out there as a way to make sense of this.
Yeah, I took some notes. Close the gap between clear and chaotic. Yeah. Who wants to read part B? Dan, would you like to read part B?
I can read it again if Dan's not here.
Okay.
All right. Possibility of change. External support to revise our own models. Checking if the requirements are fulfilled. Caveat, we have to align on the requirements. Potential to improve upon the current standard, efficiency, fairness. Wisdom and knowledge. Being able to take informed decisions. Trying to be fair. Have the chance to use Ostrom's principles to propose institutional change. Value more the work of people before us. Use the scientific models we stand for. Closing gaps between people. Won't hurt anyone, just create information, a step-by-step process. Gaining legitimacy. Creating a more universal social contract around praise/impact hours. Can divide the team. and fork is not an option. If boundaries were built around what changes are possible, there would be a lot less FUD around this topic.
Okay, I think we can have like a little bit of ideas that to gather from this, and yeah, I am going to try to read some common ground and some possible
Hello?
outcomes. Hey,
Can you hear me?
yes.
Okay, thanks. I figured out my sound issue. So, anyways,
Okay.
hi.
So some common ground of mutual interest is continue having sense of securing and stability, doing scope, boundaries, and limits, not anticipate the facts, but also having clear rules for action. Okay. Decision-making process, having a lot of advice around this issue, and also having the promoting the benefit of doubt, not delaying the plans we have, not changing what was in the past. Respect sensitivities around payment and set the clear expectations we had. The expectations we had.
I'll have to drop out, but thank you, Juan. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Livy. Good flight. If boundaries were built around what changes are possible, there would be a lot less FUD around this topic.
I also need to drop. I'm sorry, guys. See ya.
See you later, Griff. And what would be the best outcomes for all? Not taking impact hours away from anyone. Take into consideration feelings and behavioral economics. Set clear expectations, and close the gap between what is clear and what is chaotic. I think we can have this and put this also in the plate when we are having the impact hour analysis and discussion. I think this is a great input. Okay, so we're on the top of the hour. Thank you for staying. And there were 3 points that we didn't get to talk about, but I am going to briefly mention them just to have them like in our minds for the next weeks. And is that we are going to keep pushing for the distribution of the gravity survey. We did some work with Dan, with Nate to make hypotheses on the questions, and the idea is to like share the survey with diverse communities. I loved what Transparency is doing, that they are making like who has access to each platform, and I think that we should do the same with Gravity, because like not all the gravitons have access to the type form or to the registry, and it would be good to know who has those information and who has access to those information. And that Durgas had an idea to create a Discord for Gravity. I think that would be a great idea to promote after the hatch, to like start talking about Gravity as an organization on itself. So yeah, those are the 3 ideas that we can put there to think about them during the week.
I was gonna ask Tidiane or Juan, do you guys have that list of DAO communities, the Excel document or Google Sheets document? Can you send that to me?
Yes.
Thank you. I also wanted to comment, I don't know, for those of you who are here, I kind of have an incomplete view of this conflict with the impact hours, mainly because I know that we're focusing around the idea, of like what we can change, what we can do better, all these other things, and analyzing the current state of the impact hour price system. But are we doing anything to mitigate the aggrieved parties? And like, is it okay to discuss who those people are? And like, because for me, looking at it from a governance perspective, what we have is a minority group or like 1 or 2 people that may be really upset with the system, and everybody else has, this kind of universal understanding of the social contract that we created with each other. And if there's a misunderstanding within the impact hour price system from those individuals, I think it would be much better to attack it from the perspective of like, how do we mitigate this issue from the individual perspective and open up the possibilities of saying, hey, let's bring them to the table and talk to them exactly what their issues are and what those problems are and how we can mitigate it for this moment right now, and then we can talk about all the other stuff after. But without understanding who those aggrieved parties are and like, and really understanding their concerns or what their gripes are, I just, I'm kind of lost from a governance standpoint.
Well, I think that each time that someone like raises their voice to say something, it's super valuable, and it doesn't matter if it's like a minority, because always there is people that somehow feel represented by a minority but is not in the position to voice it out. So maybe even though that we have like two people that are leading that idea, we can also think that there are other people like that support it, and in here we are also talking about some of the token engineer pioneers, and we are talking about like a lot of the people who has like done a lot of work for this field even before us. So yeah, it's like, for me it's an exciting discussion. For me it's like I see this as a field, and like philosophy, and there are a lot of philosophers, and it's weird if we like try to like yeah, get into an agreement between which philosopher is the best. But what we like is philosophy on itself, and it's like the diversity that is behind it. So I see the same on token engineering. I don't feel that there is like one truth, but I feel that the token engineering field is something that is happening, and we are doing it, and we are doing it coming from different like disciplines, and there was some people who was before us, but now we added so much different value, and we are now trying to combine those two really big forces that have been growing. So for me it's also like an opportunity to like close all the gaps, and also the same way that we feel like very together, there are also people that can feel like that can feel like yeah, that the system was not fair for them. So yeah, I think that it's important for us to listen to everyone, and that we have this science that we are standing for, and that uses data science, and we have data scientists. So it's like, hey, if we have chefs, why don't we like review our recipes?
Yeah, but regarding
Broad,
the
like stroke.
oh, sorry.
Like is there an individual that's like truly upset, like, or is this kind of like a broad stroke, like this didn't really favor token engineers, or is there like a specific token engineer that said, hey, this is not right?
I feel
No, not really.
that there are some people that feel like it, but the people that feel like that is not voicing it out, and there are only like one or two people voicing it out. But I feel that those people that are voicing it out also represent some people who is not voicing it out, but that like somehow feel like that.
Can I,
Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm, I'm not 100% informed. I'm kind of jumping into the late end of this call because of scheduling confusion on my part. But so